how's it going? It's Dalton, and today, we got another video for you guys. We got a big old, well, it ain't that big old, but it's a small, young baby. It's a Papa John pan pizza. Just cheese. 'Cause I usually like them pizzas to be kinda simple. So for some reason, I get a cheese pizza a lot at a time. I don't know if I ever had a pizza that I didn't like. We got two of these. Just in case, folks. So, I think that we're gonna talk about travel and stuff. In my lifetime. Now, I don't really travel too much. Some of the reasons, 'cause it's kind of expensive. And then some of the reasons that, I don't know, don't really like it that much. So the reason we're talking about traveling, because of the fact that I gotta travel to go to a wedding. So that made me think all the times, in my lifetime when I've traveled to go, different places. Now I really haven't traveled that much, but talk about some times. visit some of my family. You know, we got there and we stayed with one of my aunts. So it was a pretty cool trip, but I was pretty young. And you know, then we went to like Las Vegas for a little bit. You know, and I remember that when we went to Las Vegas, you know, I remember like a lot of girls with not a lot of clothes on. And you know, I saw all of these like pamphlets on the ground. And you know, I picked one of them up. And there's like naked girls on it. You know, and I was real excited about that because I was young. You know, and I never saw that before. You know, then my mom like took it out of my hand and was like, "Dude, look at that." And we kept walking and I think I saw another one on the ground. And I picked another one up and she said, "Dude, look at that." Well, you know, I couldn't stop picking them up. You know, when I got older, I started taking a bus to my grandma's house. You know, to make that trip. You know, I went to New York for a wedding once. I think I was like 11 years old. it's on the ground. I'm allowed to pick it up now because I can do what I want. A man of means, folks. Some people travel quite a bit. You know, do any of you guys travel quite a bit? You know, some people take a plane like a few times a month or a week. You know, that's crazy. You know, I ain't been on a plane since I was, 10 years old, and that was the year 2000. You know, I remember like listening to my headphones. You know, one of the flight attendants or something. Or like one of the pilots was coming back from the bathroom. And he like showed me, he was like pointing to the wing of the plane. Showing me like how they open these vents on them or something weird. You know, that was like 16 years ago. But then I got a Coca-Cola can right after he showed me that. 'Cause I remember thinking like I could go for a nice cold Coca-Cola can. Well, guys, I think that's about all I can eat for now. You know, guys, but let me know some of your cool travel stories. You know, especially if you travel a lot. 'Cause, there's probably a lot of cool places out there. And you'd be like, holy crap, I'm glad I went there. instead of staying in the same place forever. Well, guys, thanks a lot for watching this pizza, soda, and stories. You know, without further ado, it's gonna be Dalton out, and we'll see you for the next video.